Hey cari amici sportivi, welcome to the Local Soccer Show. Stevie P here again this week, guys. Coming to you from live in this luxurious studio. Guys, it's great to have you back. The Local Soccer Show. Presidentes and Master Control in the back. We have a great guest, guys. Someone, it's his second cap on the show. Always like to have him on. Has become a friend through the Local Soccer Show. Love talking soccer with this guy. Amazing person. So knowledgeable. A wealth of knowledge, guys. Wealth. We need more and more people like this gentleman. But we cannot start the show, guys, without thanking the wonderful ladies and gentlemen of Evangelista Sports, guys. Thanks to Evangelista Sports, we can bring you the Local Soccer Show, guys. Please check them out in their beautiful location in Montreal and Laval. Guys, stop by Little Italy, have a coffee, have a little cornetto, enjoy our little paradise of Italy in Montreal, and walk into Evangelista Sports. They have everything, guys. Apparel, they have soccer equipment, cleats, indoor, outdoor, shin pads, socks, goalie gloves, you name it, they have it. And apparel, guys, it's everything. Serie A, EPL, La Liga, you name it, they have it. National teams, guys, check them out. Evangelistasports.com. They ship practically everywhere. We cannot say everywhere because we got in trouble the last time we said everywhere. Guys, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a conversation, to say the least. Presidente, let's get the show on the road. Let's give the Local Soccer Show welcome for his second cap, Mr. Marco Masucci.
Steve, I got to tell you, from the last time I was on the show, the graphics are different, videos, music. You guys are really, you're going up the ladder of local podcasts.
We're trying. We're trying our best. That's Sonny, the graphic designer, was not happy with the way we started the show. And he got himself in here along with Presidente and Master Control. And they said, guys, if you're going to do this, you're going to do it right. You're part of the channel. Of course, you're part of the Milan Weekly podcast channel. Guys, please subscribe to the channel. You get Milan stuff. If you're a Milan fan, we talk soccer. And, of course, the Local Soccer Show, which is near and dear to our hearts, myself and Presidente, because we do have kids in the game. And we get to talk to and meet fantastic people like Marco, who, like I said, guys, I can honestly say has become a friend since we first met on the first time we had him on. And we continue to talk soccer, local and professional, almost on a daily or whenever we find ourselves at a cafe, have an espresso and talk soccer, which is the best soccer talk. But a lot has changed since the last time we had you on. Talk to us, because I'm going to introduce you, and I think you should be introduced like this because you are the assistant coach of Saint-Lucia Football Association in St. Lucia. That was a shock to me when I saw it. And how did your soccer journey take you to St. Lucia?
Okay, so a few times. I'll start with a little anecdote. Okay, a few times when I was giving a lot of soccer courses, when I was working at Soccer Quebec or even at the regions, or even now when I work with some clubs and I do coaching education, there are a lot of young coaches. You see, like, they listen to you and they're so engaged. You want to help them as best they can. And they ask you the question, what do I do? How did you coach in the States? How did you get these gigs and all this kind of stuff? And I tell them the problem is it's all timing. It's all timing and it's all luck, right? And I feel like I did work extremely hard to get where I am, although I'm not sure that my work is what got me into those environments. You know what I mean, Stevie? So I'll give you an example. The first time I left Quebec, I went and worked in the NCAA circuit, which I could be wrong. I'm maybe one of two people that did that, and I know for sure I'm the only one in terms of a person that never played there, right? So how did I get there? Very simple. I got asked to be a translator for the Canadian national team when Carolina Morachi was coaching this team. Keeper at the time was Karina LeBlanc. Karina LeBlanc went on to be a huge figure in CONCACAF, is now the general manager, sporting director of Portland in the NWSL. She was playing at Rutgers University at the time. We end up sitting next to each other at the airport waiting for our flight. And she says, I really liked the way you animated the group, because I was giving the sessions for Carolina, right? Because she couldn't speak English. Really liked the way you animated the group. What's your objective in life? At the time, I was maybe 26 years old. I said to her, I'd love to coach NCAA. I mean, I'm a huge American sports fan. I've always been involved in that culture. NCAA is huge. She says, well, one of my coach at Rutgers is, one of the most connected people in the NCAA circuit. Puts me in contact with this guy. This guy happens to be coming to Montreal a couple of weeks later to scout the All-Star Championship at the time. Glenn Crooks now became one of my best friends. We went through 100 and something letters that we sent out, 78 job applications, finally got one. So I would have never gotten that job if it wasn't for him as my reference, right? But it still was very hard. Fast forward to this adventure here. I was in the process of helping bring a professional franchise to Quebec City a couple of years ago. Because of that, I made friends with somebody who was VP of an organization. We became very close. He was connected to some other people putting another type of project together in the Caribbean. They're looking for a coach, a strength and conditioning coach. So he says, Marco, I know you know a lot of people in Quebec, Canada. Can you help me find a strength and conditioning coach for these national teams? And those two national teams were Grenada and St. Lucia, because he works with a few organizations there. I couldn't find a guy, because the way things work in the Caribbean is sort of like you find out on Wednesday that you got to fly out on Friday. So I couldn't find anybody that wanted to do that. Long story short, I call him back. I say, look, I'm not, this is not my profession, but I mean, I've done strength and conditioning for all my teams. I've worked with, I was very, very close with the physical preparator of Inter at the time when I was working with the national team. So I picked up some stuff. I don't know the level that you need, but I think I could do the job. So I went there as a strength and conditioning coach in my first camp. It took about 3 days. The head coach says to me, I really love what you're doing, the structure, the organization. I want you to become an assistant coach of the team. So that's pretty much how it happened. So it happened based on another project, and you sort of just get wheeled into this. And then once you get the opportunity, it's up to you to make the most of it. And I think the one thing that I could say, because I'll speak about, the coach, I'm sure later on, you'll probably ask me some questions, but the coach is a phenomenal player, brilliant guy, became a very close friend of mine. The one thing that we do here better than a lot of places in the world is organization. Canadians, North Americans were very good at it. So when I went in, I brought a little bit of okay, let's be a bit tighter on the schedule. Let's give everybody tasks. So as soon as he saw that, he recognized that I was bringing something a little bit different. And I've been with them, ever since, a little bit over 2 years now, close to 2 years. So long answer to your simple question. I apologize.
It's exactly what we want at the local soccer show, and it's amazing to see how, again, like you said, timing is everything.
Yeah.
And how was it, to gain the trust of Saint Lucia, the football association, because I'm pretty sure it's again, no disrespect, it's very small. The budget is probably something that's also very, very tight, and needs to, the money needs to be spent properly. They're taking a risk on bringing this Canadian to St. Lucia, who, whether we like it or not, there's a stigma about Canadians too. It snows here 8 months out of 12. What does this guy know about soccer, and why are we investing in Marco Masucci?
Yeah. That's you asked you brought up a few key points there, so I'll try and address them in order. The budget is not that small, and I'll tell you why. Because they don't have as many things to spend money on. Think about that, right? So FIFA gives every country in the world a certain amount of money every few years. I believe it's about $4 million every 2 years. I could be wrong. I could be off. It's about $4 million every 2 years. So whether you're Canada, that has this giant machine of an organization, youth clubs and all this licensing stuff and everything, you're getting $4 million. Whether you're St. Lucia with 120,000 people and very little structure, you're also getting $4 million. So that money goes into their national teams, right? As opposed to here in Canada, where it's always a constant fight. Does it go into the national team? Does it go into grassroots? Does it go into refereeing? Does it go into club licensing? Does it go into some other program that maybe, doesn't exist there? So the budget, smaller, of course, but relative, right? But not that small, in a sense that they do have resources to properly, pay people that they do trust. The trust factor is a completely different discussion, because when I went in there, and I'll share it now without any taboo, because today I think we have an excellent relationship with everybody on the staff, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for them, because I came to the realization, Stevie, that we're just different. They have strength that I don't have. I have strength that they don't have. At the beginning, it was very difficult for me, because I'm very go, go, go. Things need to be going a certain way. We're wasting time. We're not organized. They're very well. We're laid back. Things are going to work out anyway. So at a certain point, somebody needs to concede, or else there's a lot of clashing. And I'll be honest, the first camp that I was there, they brought me in. We were playing Martinique, who, we don't hear about this a lot in CONCACAF, because when we talk about CONCACAF, we talk about Canada, USA, Mexico, but Martinique is a powerhouse for the mid-major countries. We were playing Martinique in a one-game knockoff to go to the Gold Cup. Gold Cup, St. Lucia in a Gold Cup, right? So I went there. I knew I had business to take care of. The coach gave me the nod and saying, you know what, I need you to take care of me, protect me, make sure we go forward. So I went in like a pit bull. I made sure that things were done the way they needed to be done. It probably rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I'll be like you'd probably expect, right? So we had some camps afterwards. They started to get more structured and follow my lead a little bit. I became a bit softer in realizing that, look, not everybody is going to work the way I want it to be in my head. So the last few camps we've had together, I think the environment has been fantastic. We're having fun. We're working. Everybody's working. I changed the way of working. I'm not working less or more. I'm just working a little bit differently. The other assistants on the staff have become a lot more collaborative. So things are great. And I think that's how you get the trust. You have to have the trust of the head coach. So the first thing, I've been a head coach most of the time in my life. So I'm going in as an assistant. I'm seeing the environment around this guy. I'm looking and saying, okay, this guy, he needs to win. He needs to be able to focus on putting the best lineup on the field, getting the guys ready to go. Everything around him, I'm going to be the shield and take the hit. Whether it's stupid as the night before a game, I need to go to Dick's Sporting Goods and buy some equipment, I'm going to go do that myself to make sure that he's taking care of that. So when you do that a few times, they realize that you're not in it for yourself as much as you're in it for the success of the program. And once they realize that, the trust becomes, I'm not only going to say 100%, but it's even more, because they realize that this guy from Canada is stopping his life for 10, 15 days at a time, coming here. He's sacrificing, the business stuff he's doing to try and help our national team. You start to gain those points where the president actually came up to me and thanked me for, thank you for taking care of our little island type of thing, because they see Canada as, Canada, one of the right now probably the best team in CONCACAF, right? So they're like, wow, he's coming. So it's a bit of a trade-off. You have to do your job to to prove your worth. But then once they trust you and they realize, okay, this guy's here for the right reasons, then they treat you like they give you a bit of carte blanche. And after that, they made me create a model of play for the federation. We did some presentations for the coaches of the U20, U17 team. Just recently, they asked me, there's U17 qualifiers for next year's World Cup. They asked me if I'd want to sort of take over that project. So there's a lot of discussions going on with St. Lucia, and I don't know where my future is going to be right now. I'm concentrated on qualifying for the next Gold Cup. That's our objective, but it's been a wild experience.
Yeah. And you said it, right? 10, 15 days at a time, it interrupts your life here. How have you managed that, right? So you do have your own business, you do have your own things happening here in Montreal, and you have to have, some sort of flexibility to be able to do this, and you're not from St. Lucia. And again, let's be straightforward. Right now, I don't think you're moving to St. Lucia, right? No. So how has that been a struggle? Because, you're not there all the time. This national team, I would assume, works like the other national teams. They get together for camps. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they're there all the time. It's constant communication. Now, I would assume with technology, you have that. But how does it feel? Because it would be different than you being in the Canadian national team where you're in your country, and I'm pretty sure you can move around more freely. How is it having to go to another country and deal with that?
Yeah, no, good, great point. So just to give you an example, we're at the point now where one of our players, Chris Farino, played against Arsenal yesterday in the Carabao Cup, League Cup. And so I'm able to watch a lot of these guys on TV because a lot of them play in the Championship or League One. So I do track them. We have regular communication with the coach. Today, honestly, I'm not saying this because we're meeting. Today, this afternoon, we actually had a conference call, 6 of us, to discuss the next convocation, the next players we're going to bring in. So there's a lot of that. And I'd say for the most part, it's okay. The thing that I miss out on is that, unfortunately, because it's still a country in development on a football side, they still have a lot of local players playing in a league which is subpar. And this is it's a semi-pro league, similar to our semi-pro, but they just started it up, which is a great initiative because they needed it. But those guys are playing every day. So actually, our head coach trains a lot of these guys almost like as if they were in a club. So he's training them 3-4 times a week during the dead periods between the windows, because still 50% easily of our team is local based, right? So I'll just say last game we played, I'm skipping ahead, I know, but a couple of weeks ago we played Curaçao, who's coached by Dick Advocat, and Goose Hiddink is part of the setup there. We played against them. They had a starting 11 of 11 players playing in top flight football, whether it be Eredivisie. We had one guy playing Serie B in Italy. There were guys playing in Belgium, France. So they're playing there. We went there with, I don't want to make a mistake, but 3 European-based players. The rest of our guys were either playing in St. Lucia, Jamaica, or Martinique, or Anguilla. We beat them. So we don't have that luxury of having all our players in those high-profile environments. So, okay, if we're not with them, they're in an environment where they're training at a certain level, getting games of a certain level. So our job is a little bit more complex than that, because we have to manage them even in between the breaks. And I don't do it, obviously, I'm here, but Stern and the other members of the staff, they're training these guys all year long, like a high performance center type of environment, right?
And how's St. Lucia in terms of development? If we could compare it to how our province and our country has a development set up, where do they have grassroots soccer? Do they have that level, or is it really you start at an age and you kind of go through this this pathway that leads you to the national team or to a semi-pro? Because I would assume the semi-pros, monetarily, it's not enough for what they need to do. They also have a job, and how do they balance that?
football's really difficult, Stevie. Like we have, you and I, we speak all the time. We watch Serie A, and for the guys that watch the Premiership, it's even next level of luxury in France. But the majority of countries in the world, it's not a glamorous profession, right? The vast majority of countries. So in Saint Lucia, what I'll tell you, and then I'll speak a little bit about what you said about the grassroots. But in Saint Lucia, the only objective is to get players, A, into the national team, and B, out of the country. That's it, right? So you have your grassroots program. Kids are playing at a young age. They're playing to have fun. The good ones move on. The other ones continue having fun. Whereas here in North America, because it's such a business, now we have to offer high-level house league, high-level A, double A, triple A, provincial. So we have all these levels because there's so many kids playing the game. You just need to imagine there's more kids playing soccer in Quebec than there are residents in Saint Lucia. So it's a completely different structure. So there, it doesn't exist. House league doesn't exist. You play in a club, you're in a club. I'm a really good player. I get pulled out of that club. I get sent to another environment. I get sent to the U15 national team program. I get sent to the U17 national team program. And it's almost a permanent program, right? Because they don't have the resources. So there, it's all about play, have fun. But the second you're good, we're pulling you out of there. We're throwing you somewhere else that can get you to the next level. Whereas, I think in North America, we lack a little bit of that vertical movement and that motivation.
The movement is a hot button item. Continuing with Saint Lucia, because it interests me so much. So, again, I'm not going to pretend that I know how everything's broken up for the qualification of the Gold Cup. If you could explain to everybody, like you said, you played Curaçao, you played Martinique. How is everything broken up, and what's your pathway to the Gold Cup?
Yeah, so it works. It's funny because every time I have a camp, I tell my friends I'm going to St. You're going again, and I tell them when Italy's going to play their games, I go it's a worldwide type of thing. But I guess it's hard to link what's going on in Europe to what's going on in the small little countries. But the structure is very similar to Europe. There's Nations League A, B, and C. So A is your Canada, USA, Mexico, Panama, Costa Rica, Jamaica, the top guys. Trinidad are the top guys. Level B is where we're at right now. So we came up from C, we went to B last year. So B is Guadeloupe, which is a country that's usually not in the big picture of things, but Guadeloupe is made almost exclusively of players playing in Ligue 1, Ligue 2, or even Serie B. We played them last year. So they're top. They're a very good team for our level. Martinique, then you have Grenada, you have in our group right now, we have Curaçao, Saint Martin, and we have Grenada. That's our group for Nations League. So we're in B. We were in C. We got promoted to B. Now, our Nations League B right now, we have two things on the line. We're playing to get promoted to Nations League A, which is the objective. So we're starting to play, I don't know how we'll do, but we're going to start to play the big heavyweights of the CONCACAF. But also, because there's Gold Cup coming up next year, if we win a group, we automatically qualify for Gold Cup, which is, you can understand it's a miracle. And also what we're hearing, there's going to be some South American teams that come into the Gold Cup because last year some CONCACAF teams went into Copa America, so they're exchanging the favorites. So we might have like a Brazil or an Argentina in the Gold Cup. So we're going to have St. Lucia.
This is a movie. So this is a movie. It's a future movie.
It could be a future movie. Yeah, it could be a future movie. So it's a really, really good accomplishment. But in all fairness, I don't want to. Our players are pretty good. We have players, like I said, I watched Chris Farino yesterday play Arsenal in a League Cup. We have we have guys that are playing at Bolton and Lincoln, and guys that were playing at Southampton and Birmingham. So I mean, it's not really cool runnings, but I mean, it's sort of halfway. It's like Miracle on Ice. Let's say 1980.
Yeah, and it's all in perspective. It's not. I'm not trying to. Please, I hope I didn't come off as being disrespectful, but you.
No, absolutely not.
I really I'm so interested in that because, like you said, they're good, right? So we have this problem everywhere, right? Where Canada has this problem, right? The Owen Hargreaves of this world, where they're Canadian born and go to England, and then magically a grandmother is English, right? So, you know, we need to
Yeah.
bring to the forefront someone like a country like Saint Lucia and what they're doing, because not too long ago, like Canada was almost
Yeah.
as as small, but with like you said, like triple the budget,
Yeah.
because we acted like a small nation, you
Yeah.
understand. And not acted like a small nation in any disrespect, just that we weren't using our resources properly, where something like you just said, St. Lucia needs to maximize the resources that they have, because that's what they have.
Yeah. No, and I just it wasn't meant to disrespect. I'm just trying to. I don't want to take, because I know we're speaking about the structure and everything and what we're doing. There's a lot of credit that goes to the players. Is what I'm trying to say. It's not that the coaches are doing a miraculous thing. Like, I mean, the players are pretty good, and even the local guys, to their credit, since we've been there and since Stern and he's been working with them. Stevie, there's a guy that played 180 minutes in our last two games, that plays locally in St. Lucia, semi-pro, working a job, like you said, that went toe-to-toe with Curacao. And if you look at the roster, you'll see, like, okay, some of these guys are playing in serious environments. And Grenada, where all these guys are playing pro football, this guy is playing locally. And 2 years ago, he wouldn't have even been considered. And now he started and played 180 minutes. So there's been a huge progression, even in the local players. So it's a testament to the work that the players are doing, the sacrifice these guys are doing. I'm looking at our local guys here in Canada, and I'm saying, would somebody go train 4 days a week for free in 35-degree heat at the age of 24, 25, 26, because you want to play on a national team, be committed, take time off work, figure it out to go to these tournaments? It's not an easy sell, Steven. It's not
No.
for sure that we'd be getting a lineup of people wanting to do that if that was the conditions we offered.
Not an easy sell, and it's also not an easy sell when you know that you're the underdog all the time, with a chance of not being able to win, right? A lot of emphasis is putting on winning, and I tip my hat to these guys, because like you said, you're working a job, you have to figure it out. I'm pretty sure they have families, some probably have kids, other family obligations, and you have to set that aside. And again, let's go, the players, of course, all St. Lucia players are always welcome on the local soccer show. Presidente will line them up, and we can have them on, and they can talk about you. But let's talk about the head coach, right?
Yeah.
So you said Stern is someone who obviously came in this program and has made a significant change. And it seems like one of the great moves is bringing the Canadian boy on to create some structure. Tell us a little bit about Stern. And again, Stern, if you're listening, you are also invited to the local soccer show. By all means, we would have a very fun time talking to the large Italian man here in Montreal. So talk to us about Stern.
So Stern is one of the pioneers in MLS. So he played in the MLS in the late 90s, early 2000s. He still has records in MLS. He played two seasons. Still has, I think, the record for most goals per minute in MLS history when he played for Columbus Crew. Played at Birmingham. Helped them get promoted to the Premier League. Played for Nottingham Forest for David Platt and Gianluca Vialli. Played at Southampton for Roy Keane. Played for Sam Allardyce, I believe. I'm just naming things. I mean, from the discussions we've had, he's had a tremendous career in the Championship and Premier League. He is the greatest goal scorer in Caribbean history, probably in CONCACAF. The top goal scorer in CONCACAF, if I'm not mistaken, for Trinidad and Tobago, 2006 World Cup. Trinidad and Tobago, they played England. He was in the World Cup. See, I'll say something he'll never say, and I'll say it here because I don't care. That was his team. So in 2006, when I was watching the World Cup here with my friends, we were talking about Dwight York. Dwight York was not on that team. Dwight York has half the amount of caps as Stern, and he jumped onto the team after they were in a position to qualify. Stern qualified that team for the World Cup. He is the reason they went to the World Cup, and he's the greatest striker in Trinidad and Tobago history. So I speak like this with a passion because I feel like he's a guy that after watching him, after understanding the stats and everything, he's a guy that came maybe a few years too early in the game, and he would have definitely had an illustrious, much bigger, high-profile European career if he was a little bit further down the line. So if you watch highlights, you'll see the goals he scored. You'll see, especially a guy like you, Steve, that you watch some of the greats play in Italy at the time. He's a guy that could have played in Serie A in the big times, and he could have scored some big goals because he's a tremendous, tremendous player. But
he sounds like someone. He sounds like someone that would fit into like a Fiorentina.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm thinking when I'm looking at a guy like him. Or a Udinese at the time. A guy like strong with the head, quality, strong post-up player. He can score a bunch of different ways. But the thing is, forget all that. We're talking about him as a player, which it's interesting, but I mean that's not the point. The point of this is, Stern is one of, and I say this from a person that has a big competitive addiction myself. He's the biggest competitor I've ever met in my life. He's a person that football is here, and the rest of his life is down there. And I don't say this in a disrespect to anything else in his life. Just that's how high he regards football and wanting to win. So he started his coaching career. He did a bit in Trinidad. He did a bit in the youth structure of Trinidad. So that's why I have tremendous respect for him. And we were talking before we went on air about some coaches that just sort of go straight into the big show. He started with the U20s of Trinidad when, he's the Roberto Baggio of Trinidad. So he could have taken the national team over if he wanted overnight. He could still do it today, let's be very honest. And he doesn't, because he wants to, grow and be ready for that, which is why I respect. He went to Anguilla, who is, I think, ranked last in the world in FIFA rankings, and he did a decent job with them. Ended up going afterwards to St. Lucia. And if you look at just the track record of since he's been in St. Lucia, the program went from being a punching bag to now being, there is nobody in CONCACAF. I'll say this because we played Haiti, who's fantastic, by the way, and they're a dark horse for me for qualifying for the next World Cup. We played Haiti, we played Martinique, we played Guadeloupe, we played Curacao, we played Grenada. I think there's very few teams in CONCACAF that I'll say will have an easy time playing St. Lucia right now. A few teams, and I'm talking about a handful of, we're not ready for the Canadas yet, we're not ready for the USA, but anybody else will have a tough time with us. And just to put in perspective, okay, and I'm not going to compare us to Canada because I'm not going to be delusional, but Guadeloupe beat Canada. We were their next game after, and we beat Guadeloupe. So there's a lot of things being said there. They were resting players, obviously, but I'm just saying that's the level that Stern has got into this country too. We can compete with anybody. We won't beat everybody. I'm not gonna say we'll beat anybody, but we can compete with anybody in CONCACAF right now with confidence. We can go toe to toe, and he's responsible for that 100%. 100%.
Now, this is something that I truly believe in, and again, my thought process on this, right? You can't have 11 40 glass. You understand? Like it just doesn't work. Yeah. Our countries, let's not say Canada, because I think they seem to have found a little bit of that recipe and start to understand that you cannot have 11 superstars, if you want to call them, 40 class, the way we talk to it when we're having a coffee. Yeah. You need to find the right recipe.
Yeah.
It seems like Stern has found the right recipe.
Yeah.
How could he have found the right recipe at St. Lucia, and it seems like the United States can't find the right recipe?
Look, it's an excellent question. In Canada, I'll say the recipe right now was found. Maybe it's harsh, my criticism, but Jesse Marsh is the real deal. Jesse Marsh is the real deal. There's no messing around. People can say good things, bad things, experience here, experience there. At the end of the day, he's one Jesse Marsh in Canada. He's a brilliant man. Studied at Princeton, so already you're coming in with an intellect, and you're a student of the game, was a player. He worked his way up the ladder. He worked under some phenomenal coaches, and he took Canada. Now, the beautiful thing about Jesse is he took Canada with a chip on his shoulder after being, rejected from USA. So now you have a guy that's
rejected, not even only rejected, not even looked at.
That's right.
Because I watched Copa America.
Yeah.
And for reasons that I will not tell you, I was watching the American feed.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that when America crashed out and Canada passed, I've never seen a panel so quiet.
Yeah.
And it was a panel for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
And not to say that I was enjoying this, but it felt real. Their pain was real.
Yeah.
They said, we have made an ultimate mistake in overlooking this man.
Absolutely.
And by the way, we're going to throw it out there. If Jesse Marsh gets this, you're also invited on the show. But it's crazy, though. When you think about it, you forget to look in your backyard. And I'm saying this because I'm just evil. But we do this too in Canada. We let you go to Saint Lucia.
Yeah.
Because
Marco Santos is cleaning up trophies at LAFC, and Wilfred Nancy is cleaning up trophies at Columbus.
Well, absolutely.
These are homegrown guys that would pay money to
people here.
Yeah.
And we let them go for X reasons. And I'm saying you because you're born here. The Wilfred Nancy is not born here.
No, but
the Marco Santos is not born here.
Yeah.
But how do we let guys like you leave to go to St. Lucia, which is a great experience for you?
Yeah.
But how do we keep you here in our system, provincially and in the national team? Because it's going to catch up to us. We're going to have that Jesse Marsh moment soon. I'm telling you. I feel it.
Maybe. I never looked at it like that, and maybe I'm wrong, but I never looked at it like that because I just, my whole life, all I tried to do was I just wanted challenges. I'm a guy that thrives on challenges. I like new challenges, so I'm chasing. I've been chasing my whole life. Okay, we'll be, I'll put it out there. I've been chasing my whole life that opportunity, not the opportunity. I don't care if there's 100 different ones, but I want an opportunity that gets me out of bed in the morning, bouncing out of bed, like flying out of bed. Like, I have so many things to do. Let me get to it. Right. I need that in my life. That's the type of person I am. I can't settle. I can't settle for things that don't challenge me, or I don't feel like I'm making a contribution to something big. So when I wanted to go to the United States, why did I want to go to the United States? Because I looked at the system locally and I was like, it's not enough. At the time, it was not enough. It's gotten better, but it's not enough. I want to go outside, right? So that was number one. Going to the national team project here. I've never really been involved in the national team setup here. I was actually with the senior team, but that's not through the traditional channels. It's because the head coach went and get me. Similar to this, right? The head coach went and get me. So I worked with the national team, the Canadian national team. I worked with the American Olympic Development Program when I was there. But somebody told me this, and I'm not sure which guy it was, to be honest. It was something that was told to me a very long time ago, and it was sort of like, you're never going to be respected locally at the big stage until you go outside and they regret it and somebody brings you back in. And I'm looking at some of the guys that did it, and I realized that maybe that's the flaw of humans, not just Canadians or Quebec, humans. Like Jesse was in the United States national team program. He did his job. He worked. He had to go to Europe. He had to go away for them to be like, oh, maybe Jesse's interesting. Now he comes to Canada. I promise you, he's going to be on the radar, because somebody in that board of directors is now saying, how the hell did we let that guy go to our biggest rival, or Mexico, but one of our biggest rivals, and beat us We need to bring that guy back. So now his stock went up, and that's sad.
Marco, if he takes the Mexico job, the United States implodes.
Yeah.
I think it's because Canada, and again, with all due respect, I think they've done tremendous work with that. But Canada's vanilla, right? We never get too angry. We never get too happy.
Yeah.
And I liked him because he stood up for Canada. And I don't think anybody else would have done that.
No.
But an American would do that.
Right away.
Yes, right away.
Right away. After one or two games in charge. Yeah.
Right away.
Yeah.
And he stood up for them. And I'm not convinced that, it's in our nature, true Canadians, where we love to be vanilla. We don't want to get anybody angry. We don't, we want everything's always flowers. It has to be beautiful. We have to be the one who picks something up. No, we need to start playing with balls. And I think he started making this team with balls. And I think he started to pick the team with balls. And I think he started to, lean on that experience that he got in Europe, and there's no, it's flowers. It's results that count.
But I was just going to say that, right? You don't, all the theory is good. You could get in a room and give and try and educate people. And I love doing it. It's something I love to do. I love to do that. I love to coach. I love everything around the game. So but what you tell people in a course versus real life is a little bit different, because in real life, if the results don't come, you could be doing everything that your A license or B license or C license taught you, but if you don't get the results, you're getting fired anyway. It's a different type of pressure, and it's a different type of coaching, right? So for Jesse Marsh to come and take that team, and his first two games, Stevie, are against Holland and France.
Yeah.
And he played with no fear against Holland, took a beating, made a few adjustments, and went toe-to-toe with France a couple of days later. But do you understand what it takes? If he would have lost another 3 or 4-0 against France, he would have been a laughingstock. Even if he did exactly the same thing, even if he's as good of a coach, that's how quickly things turn on you, right? He gets the result against France, goes to Copa America. You tell me now, in a Copa America, first of all, we never played in Copa America. Now you're in Copa America playing real games against teams that are fighting for their lives, not a friendly against USA in the cold of Winnipeg one day. No, now you're in a tournament, and you draw Argentina twice. We're world champions.
Yeah.
And we were not. I don't care what anybody tells me. There was not one game in that tournament where we got outclassed, that we didn't belong on that pitch. Not one. And the second game against Argentina, we were even more ready than the first game against Argentina, which a couple of bounces, we could have shocked them in that first game as well. So where did this come from? We went from a team that, I hope we can make it to the Hex. I hope we can be in the final 6. All of a sudden, this guy's coming there. He's trying to win a Copa America. That's the personality of the guy. That's the hunger of the guy. And with no disrespect to John Herdman, it's not the same. It's not the same. Jesse Marsh is not about Jesse Marsh. Jesse Marsh is about the result, about taking the team to the next level. And I think there's just a little bit too much, fluff around the Canadian program in the past. It hasn't really just been about getting the best result. The guy comes in first day, Maxime Crépeau, you're my goalie. Maxime Crépeau should have been the goalie of this national team, Stevie, for 3 years. It took him. He's going to help me win more games. That's it. Cutthroat decisions, like you said. He did what he had to do to take the team to the next level. And I really do believe, I don't know how far the number is. It depends, the draw and everything, but Canada's going to surprise a lot of people at this World Cup. A lot.
Let's hope. Because it's a cool ride. It's nice to I do watch a lot of Italy. I don't hide it, and I found myself watching Copa America and watching Canada, which was nice, right? So I wanted to touch on something else. We're 45 minutes in. I know that we have to start wrapping it up, and we do have a hot button topic that we'll save for the end. But now I'm interested in this, and I'm interested on your point of view on this. So, like, your resume speaks for itself. You have the licenses, that we talk about a lot, that they need us to get. Talk to us a little bit about your trek to that. One would be going through it, and two, I would ask you, do you think we're overthinking this licensing in terms of for coaches? Do you think we're overthinking it, where we're kind of like not having people take them because it's too much of a commitment?
I think we're overthinking it. Yes, I don't think it has anything to do with commitment. So I did my licensing obviously in Canada, like and I've given licenses in Canada. This year, I made the decision to do a CONCACAF A license in Trinidad and Tobago instead of doing it in Canada. Why? I wanted to hear a different voice. I wanted to see a different culture. I wanted to just feel a different ambiance compared to always being with the same people over and over in the courses here. No disrespect to anybody, but after 4 courses, I want to hear somebody else. Maybe they're better, maybe they're worse, but just different, I did my A license in Trinidad and Tobago, my CONCACAF A in Trinidad. The structure, not the same. The schedule, it's optional. So there's a lot of things that we take very seriously in Canada. There, it's a little bit different. But I'll tell you one thing. In that course there, my peers were the current coach of the Trinidad and Tobago national team, the U20 coaches of Trinidad and Tobago, the U17 coaches of Trinidad and Tobago, the professional club coaches of Trinidad and Tobago that play in the Champions League against LAFC or Cincinnati, right?
Yeah.
Guys from other countries, other technical directors from Belize and everything. The level of conversation was not the same. We were talking about football, Steve. Only football. We were watching games, analyzing games, talking about what would you do? Good, bad, I like it, I don't like it, ideas. It was a football course. Here in North America, it's a little bit too methodical. A lot about methodology, which is really important. But when you get to a B license or an A license, can we start talking about formation, systems of play? Can we talk about principles? Can we talk about how my team is going to play against your team? But the difference is in Canada, we don't have pro coaches. So we're giving you an A license or a B license so you can go back and coach kids. There, we're giving them an A license so they can go win in the Champions League. So it's not the same course, right? So my encouragement to anybody is at some point, if this is something that you're passionate about, that you want to do for real, take a course outside. Whether it's good, bad, try it. Just get the different reality. Stevie, there's something about having an imperfect structure that makes you better. I had to go. We had to prepare. We're in a group of 4. I'll give you a stupid example. 4. Okay, Italy, Switzerland was our analysis. Right? Switzerland's doing this, Italy's doing this. I want you to make a session, 11v11, how you're going to press Switzerland. Good, you do it. You get there. 6 guys don't show up. So now it's not 11v11. Now, yeah, right? Real life. Now you have 16 players instead of 22. Okay, Marco, go. But I prepared for 22. I'm not used to this reality in Canada. In Canada, I'm used to having a cushy environment where I know the field is nice and turf. There, it's like, no, go. Okay, right away. Am I going to play 8v8, 9v9? Am I going to play one man? Right, so just that pressure and that panic, it makes you better. Even if at the end it was not good. The thing is, the guy giving the course, he comes up to you, he says, that was excellent. I said, I thought it was terrible. Yeah, but it was excellent because you adapted. I know it's not in your reality. So he's understanding the conditions, and he's not just there to say, Stevie, that's bad. Stevie, that's good. No, it's let's take all the factors in place. Yeah, we're still gonna critique it because we want to make everybody better. But I understand what I put you in, the situation I put you in, and just that, you're like, oh, okay. You're not here to judge me. You're not here to just smash me. You're here to help me learn. Different environment. I'm going to take a WAFA next year. My WAFA A, I'm going to take it next year. So I'm in a mode now where I want to learn outside, not because Canada's not good, because I've done it for 25 years, Steve. I just want to learn outside and see if there's a couple of little things I could pick up differently. That's the only reason. It's not to criticize
Yeah.
anything. So, do I think we're licensing here? Yes. I think we overthink it a lot. I think, example, C license, right? You're coaching, you're taking your C license. Okay. What age do you coach?
U11.
Okay. Have we taught you how to teach technique?
No.
What does an 11-year-old need?
Technique.
Okay. So, and again, I'm not better than anyone. I'm not smarter than anyone. I don't want to criticize people's jobs, right? Because there's always a reality you don't know. The C license, the problem is it's not just for you, Steve. It's for you, like it's for the guy coaching U16, like it's for the guy coaching. So automatically, right? I'm being harsh. But at the end of the day, who's going to teach a guy that played a little bit or never played or even played? Who's going to teach a guy to teach a 9-year-old the proper mechanics to become a better player? So, yeah, I think the courses need to be more specific and they need to be a little bit more pertinent to your reality. Stevie, what do you do? U11, Division 1, Division 2, okay? This is the course for you. U9, Débutant, House League, this is the course for you. U16, Elite, this is the course for you. It can't just be everybody in one course. And I think that's a problem. I think that's a big problem right now.
And it's funny you said it. It's like you said, excuse me. You said you need to go out to come back and bring something probably a little bit more. It's 50 minutes in. I know that this is going to be a doozer. So
what are you hitting me with?
The hot button item in local soccer is player movement, right? We know part of Rivière de Paris. We're part of this thing, and again, it's something that it's out there. It's been communicated, and nothing's official. So here, it's guys. I'm just setting it out there. We're having a conversation. I'm not right. Marco's not right. We're just having a conversation to talk about this, right?
Yeah.
What's your opinion on player movement? At the grassroots level. And just to give some people some context, because I recently found this out, we're the only province to, I've ever had in the past a player movement rule where you would stop a player from moving regardless of the age due to geography and other factors. And then we got rid of that. And now we're in the process. It seems like they're in the process of bringing this back in. What's your opinion on this?
Any decision that's made by a federal governing, like a national governing committee, a federation, an association, whatever it is, whether it's a club, a federation, a region, it has to take everything into consideration. I don't know. I'm not, I'm not involved directly in a club anymore, so I'm not privy to these discussions. So I'm very careful. I don't want to criticize something without knowing all the facts. Okay. And I just like to play devil's advocate, and I ask the question. So my question is, have we taken all the factors into consideration? How many players is too many? Who decides what too many is? What is it based on? Is it based on protectionism? Is it based on development? Is it based on, there's a study somewhere that says if 5 new kids come to a team, all the other kids perform less? I don't know. What's it based on? So what's this number? I grew up with, it used to be the 4-2 muté rule, right? You were allowed 4 mutés, but only 2 from a team. Who came up with that number? No idea. At the end, what happened, everybody was just propagating fake addresses everywhere, and people were finding ways to come around the rule. So my first question is that. What's the number and how was it calculated? Now, is that number going to restrict players from being in the environments they belong? So my postal code is X, your postal code is Y. Based on my postal code, I belong to an association. Is that association offering the same or a better service than the association next door? If the answer is no, how can you tell me as a consumer, because that's what I am, I'm a consumer, forget development, forget all these fancy words, I'm a consumer. I pay you money to get a service. Your club, Stevie, offers me a service which is 5-star. The club next door offers me 3-star. But my postal code, I'm part of the 3-star club. As a parent, I want to go to the 5-star club. Why? Because it's better. How do I decide it's better? Word of mouth, like anything else. But now also there's a licensing system. So Soccer Canada now is saying that your club is better than my club. So now, as a parent, I want to take my kid and go to your club. You're going to tell me no. Okay, based on what? And what if my kid deserves to be in that club and belongs in that club and is good enough to be in that club and your coaches really are much better? Why can my club not participate? If the reason is because we have to protect all the other clubs, that doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. Protectionism does not work for me. If there's another reason and it was studied and it was worked out, I'm very open to hearing the reasoning, and I don't know it, right? But now that's grassroots. Now we're talking elite. In any sport, right, we'll go as high as Ligue Junior Majeure de Québec, which is the extreme, right? We'll go Ligue Frontière de Baseball, which is the equivalent, right, there across. Tennis, golf, all these sports are easy. They're individual sports. You automatically go. So in all these sports, you as an individual are selected as an individual to go play at the top level. In soccer, for some reason, we link it with our team. Our team has to qualify. Our team has to, if 6 players from your team leave, what happens to the other kids? I'm very sympathetic towards everybody. But at the end of the day, if the kid deserves to be in this environment, he deserves or she deserves to be in that environment. That's it. The conversation for me stopped there. Then you can figure out the second, third, fourth, fifth layer and find solutions for them. But for me, limiting vertical movement in our top level of competition, for me, it makes no sense. Because in every other sport, it doesn't exist. In every other province in soccer, it doesn't exist. And also, if we go back to the regional structure like it used to be, I coach Conquérant de Laval. I coached Montreal Concordia at the time, which was regional. I coached Lakers of Lac St. Louis, which was regional. Tryouts used to happen. I had 100 kids show up. I had 130 girls show up at my Lac St. Louis tryout. I picked the best 18. I didn't know what club they were from. They could have all been from one club. What happens to that team after if I take all their players? Nobody used to ask me that question back then. How come now it's a question? The best players need to go into the best environment. And if the environments are not good enough of the national clubs, then we need to reevaluate how we evaluate these clubs, not limit movement into those clubs. So for me, the player has to always come first. The player comes first, and I say this at the beginning of every course I give. We are in the business, Stevie, of developing players and not building teams, unless you are CF Montreal. We're in the business of developing players and pushing as many of them up. And if it means it goes from my club to your club to the next guy's club, that's our job as coaches. That's our job as formateurs. We're trying to develop people. So I just think there's a contradiction there. And I don't know all the details, but I think this proposal needs to be really, really well thought, really specific, because I can already see people contesting it. I can already see clubs contesting it, or, forget the legal structure of it. Is it legal or not? There's no point of putting something in place if it's not going to work. So think it through properly. If it's accepted or not, I don't think it's accepted. I think it still needs to be accepted by either the region, Soccer Quebec, or whatnot. So I think there's a reflection that hopefully will happen. And there has to be common sense in the decision. That's my opinion of it. I don't know what you think, and I don't know what your discussions are. I know you're in a club, but
look, I'm not privy to all these discussions. It was just the soccer community is very small, and the word gets out, and and that's the dangerous part of it. That's what scares me the most, is because the misinformation is the most dangerous weapon that we have. Because if we're not all on the same page talking, no one can make a concrete decision. And that's the thing that worries me the most, is that no one really knows what the rule is and what the rule they want to put in place is. So everybody's going to take the bits and pieces that may favor them, or like you said, protectionism.
Yeah.
They're going to take only the bits and parts that are going to hurt them and make a rash decision on whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
My question would be to Soccer Canada or Canada Soccer is like, when does Canada Soccer step in and say, well, guys, this is not happening anywhere else in our country. Why are you doing this?
Look, I'll come to the defense, and I'm not the president of the Jesse Marsh fan club, if it sounds like it, but I know that at the national championship that just happened, the PDP championship for the national clubs, Jesse Marsh was actually there. He actually met with the coaches. He asked questions. They spoke. He was surprised. He was reacting. So the fact that our national team coach now is starting to show an interest in grassroots and not just create a sustainable structure, but create a real productive structure, I think is fantastic. And I think that's where it has to start, Steve. I think it has to be the national team coach, and it has to be the general secretary of Soccer Canada. They got to start looking at this and saying, okay, we're new. What's been done in the last few years? Okay, this licensing program, good or bad, whatever. Whatever we like, let's make it a bit better. Whatever we don't like, either we get rid of it or we change it for something better. And I hope and I think that that's the direction they're going to go into. But up until now, Quebec has been sovereign in its managing of this project. Obviously, always under the supervision of Soccer Canada, but Soccer Quebec was always free to say, oh, we want to do this. Soccer Canada says, sure. Right? So the club licensing program in Quebec is not like the club licensing in Ontario, is not like the club licensing in BC or anywhere else. Is it better or worse? I'm sure there's good and bad in all of that, but it's not the same. So it's not standard. So that for me already is a problem. Just like regions in Quebec, how can a U10 league in one region and another region not have the same rules, same standards, same everything? That also does not make sense to me. If we're teaching 10-year-olds how to play soccer, come up with a solution, and everybody across the province applies it equally, right? So that's the
well, I could tell you for a fact that in the region, the games that are played in the league that's in the region, from game to game, the rules change.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's a huge problem, Marco. Yeah. Right? And I'm going to take the example of the goalie, right? Can the goalie kick the ball? Yes or no? Some refs will say yes. Some refs will say no. Some refs will say yes, but it has to hit the floor first. Well, what are we doing here? When has kicking a ball become a crime or become a foul? Because it's almost as bad as a foul because we're stopping the game. And you've put in all these fancy-dancy rules to not stop the game, but then you're stopping it for something that is traditionally something that has come up with the game.
So this is the first, you're teaching me something new. I didn't know this was I didn't know this was a rule, and I'm interested in it. I don't know if I'm for or against it, but I'm interested in knowing more, but I don't know. But look, when we were at Soccer Quebec, at the time I was there, I was in a few discussions, and I think we changed, whether it was us or we changed the throw-in rule. And I get a lot of jokes about that, they don't even do throw-ins. And I take ownership of it. I say, look, I think, I was a big part of that, because watching young kids play in my club when I was there, the play would stop every 2 seconds. Steve, bad throw, doesn't make sense. Nobody can stop the ball. So I said, you know what, let's maximize the time, keep the ball on the floor, let them use their feet as much as possible, pass it in or whatnot. So I still believe that was positive. Then we also introduced the line of retreat, which I think is a bit positive. So now, that's where you have to have the line. Are we ruining the game or not? Like at U7, U8, U9, if you tell a kid you can press as high as you want, you know exactly what's going to happen. The keeper's just going to toe poke it as far as he can, and we hope for the best. So that's not good either, because the kids are not equipped yet to be able to play. So you give them a bit of advantage so they can learn how to play out of the back. Now, the goalie thing, I don't know. Now, are we starting to change the nature of the game a bit too much? maybe. And that goes back to the thing we said before about the club licensing, about the structure. It's a really, really big, and I don't want to say business because then it sounds like, it's about money. It's not about money. It's a big business and a big machine in the sense that there's so many people now working in soccer here. Everybody has their opinion, and people lobby different things, and a lot of good ideas come out of it. A lot of bad ideas come out of it too. Whereas, going back to the original discussion, in a small island like St. Lucia, the benefit is it's so small that I can hold national team camps on a weekend and everybody just drives in. Right? So it's such a smaller network and you can have discussions differently. So these are two Canadas geographically enormous. St. Lucia's tiny. You have so many soccer players playing soccer in Canada. St. Lucia probably not. So these are just two extremes. But I think we are too big in our way of operating the sport. I think we've gotten too big with too much red tape. And I think we just have to, I would love to see everybody just stop work for a week, get in a room, and let's go back to the base. Okay, here's our player, boy, girl. Here's the future elite player. Here is the middle level player. Here's that beginner player that's just having fun. Let's create a structure that's best for all of them and forget what we've always done in the past, forget all that. Let's just start carte blanche. And I'm sure there would be drastic changes. Drastic, because we've gotten away from that.
I think we have, and I agree with you. And I'm not one to always agree with you, but look, it's just the goalpost, and I keep on saying this. I say it a lot at work, and I feel like it's part of my life now. It feels like the goalposts keep on moving all the time. And it's hard for a local club, and now me being involved in a local club a bit more. You said it. There's a lot of people that now are making soccer a career.
Wow.
There's the same amount, if not more, that it's a passion and it cannot be a career because of other careers that they already have, right? So like we have to remember that the structure that we want to put in for this environment and this service is different from community to community, because like you said, some RDP is kind of like Canada, and another club is a bit smaller.
Yeah.
But that's the reality. Unfortunately, that's what it is. Canada, might be able to do something more. Yeah. And again, the smaller one might not be able to get to that level. But do we want to give the player the right and the ability to go to the environment that they choose? I think they should have that choice.
Look, in any other business, right? In any other business, you're not gonna tell me where to buy my jacket. You're not gonna tell me where to eat my meal. You're not gonna tell me where to put gas. You're not. You could suggest, you could promote, you could market, but at the end of the day, the choice belongs to me. So this has become the same thing. We're paying money. It's not free. You're not investing in my kid. I have to pay. So now I'm paying for a service. If I'm not satisfied with the service, I leave. Okay, so I look at it the other way. There's a fear mechanism where everybody's scared that if we allow free movement, people are going to flock out. I look at it like, okay, that's going to motivate some clubs to work better and harder. And then there's going to be some clubs that just maybe don't make it. And those clubs could maybe be recreational local clubs. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you cannot offer a good enough service to your members, one, to develop them, and two, to make them happy with the service, because they are clients. You have to satisfy the client. And we can't keep giving them speeches about how we know better and everything. If none of the parents are happy with what you're offering, there's a problem with your service offering. Either you're not explaining it properly, either you're not putting in the effort. So either you start to work better, or you have to go down and be a club that just offers a basic service in your local neighborhood, making sure that everybody's happy. But at that point there, you don't need to be spending all kinds of money on all the staff, and you could charge them a lot less money. So I think creating this freedom would just naturally, natural selection type thing. It would have some people rise to the top, some people float in the middle, and some people sink to the bottom. And I think that that's really where we are now anyway. except we hide it because players are sort of handcuffed in where they can go and where they don't know at what age. And they so at the end, look, I just think it's a lot of work and a lot of policing. And if this goes through, it's going to be a heck of a lot of work for Soccer Quebec to manage. And at the end, for what? For what? To limit a kid, at U9 or U10, I don't know what the number is, if it's 2, 3, whatever it is in an entire club. What if a club has 150 kids in their CDC at U9 and they're only allowed to take 2, 3? How good do those kids have to be? Think about that. Now, what happens to the guy next door, the kid next door, that's getting bullied in his team, or his coach is a complete disaster and he doesn't want to play soccer anymore and he just wants to go to that club next door to have fun? You can't. We're only allowed to take 3 and you're not good enough. So we're already cutting kids at the age of 9 and 10 when you think about it, right? So what happens to those kids that are not leaving because they want to play for the best? They just want a better experience because they're not happy in the club that they're at right now. Or God forbid, there's serious things, like I said, bullying or a situation where things are inappropriate. That kid wants to leave and now you're going to tell him he can't leave? This is a slippery slope, Steve. This is not as easy as, we got to keep teams together. That's not the priority in this. The kid has to come first,
And we'll leave it at that because that is what it's all about. We have to come back down to the reality that it is about the kids. I have one last question for you. I'm not going to do the burning questions. We've done that before, and you're a penny regate guy. There's could be only one. Are we overusing or using the word development only in the right context when it's convenient for us?
No, that word's taboo. People shouldn't use that word anymore. It became an excuse. And it became a way out of everything. So, okay. Because unfortunately, every question you ask, unfortunately, it triggers like 10 stories in my mind. So I'm talking way too much, and you're the host, and I'm not doing a good job of being a guest here. But originally, soccer made no sense. Okay, let's be honest. So going back a little while, soccer made no sense. It was all about winning at all costs, parents killing each other in the stands, coach having the kid just smash the ball around the field aimlessly just to win a game. So we toned it down. There was a movement to, and I think it happened even at the professional level and international level, to be honest. You see a lot more teams trying to build out, which that's a style of play at that level. They can do what they want. But at 9, 10 years old, you want the kid to learn fundamentals. You want the kid to learn how to receive a ball, trap a ball, head up. So we started saying, it's not about the result. It's about developing. Already that sentence there kills me. Because even at 9 years old, your kids should be working hard to try to win. They should be focused in trying to win. They should be competing to try to win, but we're trying to win doing X, Y, and Z. You could do both at the same time, right? So as soon as we separated the two, it became a nightmare. At a certain point, you get to an age where parents are going, and I've seen this in front of me, parents complain, kid's not having fun, kid doesn't want to play, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, but we're developing the kid. So let's go back. Let's go to the basics. A kid signs up for soccer. Kid signs up for soccer because the parent puts him in soccer. A kid stays in soccer because the kid loves playing soccer, loves having fun. I played soccer. I played a bunch of sports. I never got excited because of practice. I got excited because on Sunday, you come and play your game. We take away games. We take away standings. We take away leagues. But it's okay because we're developing the kid. 1% of, not even 1%, it's less than that. A small percent of kids are ever going to play pro. Yeah, you need to develop because you want to get better fundamentals. But at the end of the day, the kids play soccer. Why? To have fun. If the kids are not having fun in the current structure because the adults want to control everything and change it, there is a problem. There is a problem. And now when you get to U16 and U15 and U16 and you're starting to control what a kid can and cannot do, the kid will probably not play soccer anymore. They're going to play 1 more year, 2 more years for them. At 17, what do they want to do? They want to go to a national championship because at 18, they're probably going to be playing recreational soccer somewhere with their friends and their careers are over. But now, we're the adults telling the kids, but that's not important. It's important to develop. Develop for what? So yes, we're abusing the word. Development is important as we have to teach the kids the right way to play the game, the right way to win, the right way to lose, and the fundamentals. But when we're just saying development, so that competition is not important, winning is not important, having fun and playing with your friends against the opposition is not important, kids will stop playing the sport. Because kids do not play to develop. Kids play to compete. That's the fun part. At school, Stevie, we used to play at school at recess, not because we were getting better. We didn't say, Ma, today I played 15 minutes with my friends in the park because I wanted to get better. It's because you wanted to score a goal and win a game.
Wanted to win.
And if we have to be careful because we're starting to lose our minds.
Yeah.
We're starting to lose our minds. And I go back, the CDC for me is still a very good thing. It's in theory, the fact that we're training everybody, offering them a minimum service, good. Do I think elite kids need a little bit more? Yes. Right? And by elite, I mean that kid that's a little bit advanced, even at 9 years old, needs a little bit more. That kid that's a little bit of a beginner needs something a little bit different. So even at that age, we have to be careful. They're not all the same. Right? So we have to group them in a way that makes sense. Do I think that at a certain point, a kid could do more based on their ambitions? And yes, I think that that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I think once we're offering a service to everybody, I think being able to say, okay, this kid, he has a high potential. Maybe he needs to play with the older kids. Maybe he needs to train a session more a week. I don't think there's anything illegal with that. And I think we just have to be careful with not giving clients what they want, because at the end of the day, Steve, we're the last ones to the race. But in Ontario, academy leagues exist. Academies exist across Canada. Here they haven't got it strong yet. But I think if we keep handcuffing parents and handcuffing kids in a sense that we're not giving them what they want, they will go somewhere that will give them what they want. They will go. So either we do it ourselves and keep everybody in the structure, or there's going to be a separate structure, a parallel structure that creates itself, and then we're going to have a completely different type of war on what we do with these type of people and organizations. So,
absolutely.
Great question. And the answer is yes, I think it's being abused.
Love talking football with you. Love talking soccer. I want to thank you, Marco. It's always great to talk to you. Your stories are fantastic. I think it fits right down our alley, straight and to the point, and we say it the way it is, and we don't hide anything. So I want to thank you again for being on the show, Presidente. Thank you so much for all your background work in the back, sending me questions, sending me all my cheat sheets for you. Any parting words, Marco?
No, none whatsoever. Thank you very much for having me, Steve. I think what you guys do is really, really great in giving a little bit of attention to the local game, and for whoever's interested in having the guests. I see the guests you have on. I think you have quality people. So if ever I can help you in any way, if ever I'm invited, I'm an automatic yes. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Evangelista Sports. Buona notte.